Okay, I call the meeting to order of the Oregon Racing Commission, April 17th, 2025. Ms. Parkman, could you just roll call?
Yeah.
Yes, so for the record, my name is Karen Parkman, I'm the Director of Administration for the agency.
Roll call first.
Chair Doherty,
Excuse me, yeah. Here,
Vice Chair Barry,
Present.
Commissioner Stein, Commissioner Fowler.
he's here. The next thing on our agenda is the meeting agenda. I need a motion to approve the meeting agenda as printed.
I have a request.
Oh, you have two changes? Okay.
The record, Connie Lynn, Executive Director. Under item number 5, C and D, we're going to delete. We do not need those rule changes. And after public comment, I would like to add an executive session.
Okay.
For some information that's confidential.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
As amended.
Okay, so
I'll second.
Excuse me,
Commissioner,
if everyone could speak up, it's very difficult to hear back here.
Everybody, for the record, will be louder.
Thank you.
okay, so all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the meeting the agenda is approved. First thing we've got is director's report.
Beforehand, if you want to get a mission statement.
Oh, yes, please. I'm sorry.
That's okay. The Oregon Racing Commission is dedicated to promoting the highest standards of safety and integrity within the equine racing industry, both on ground and online. Our mission is to safeguard the welfare of athletes, both human and equine, with a steadfast commitment to the best interests of our citizenry, licensees, participants, and the economy.
Yeah, we're in old business. Director Wynn, your report.
Get my cards. Yeah, it's.
Yes, our technical people here,
Sorry, I did not coordinate this well.
not me.
One moment, please. Okay, I think it's on wider. One moment, please. I apologize for the delay. We're not used to being in person anymore.
To comb my hair this morning.
I'm gonna do it the old fashioned way and just read it to you. And you won't see all the pretty pictures I put together just for this committee.
I
I'm very
apologize.
disappointed. It's okay, it's okay. Maybe I didn't email it to you, I meant to. Presentation. Wow. For the record, I made a very beautiful presentation for this meeting that you will all miss, except for you.
You can see it.
My name is Connie Lynn. I'm the Executive Director of the Racing Commission, and I have the following report for you for April.
You could join the meeting and share.
I don't know that I want to at this point. I'm just disappointed now. I know. It'll just be easier to read it. I would like to welcome two distinguished guests. One is Will from Am West Entertainment. Thank you for coming all the way from Kentucky, by the way. And then it's Russell. I don't think Russell's made it back yet. Russell Fine is from Gameplay Network, and he's come all the way up from California to talk about the ADW and online wagering for us. Many of you may remember Will from way back in 2016. He was our general manager at Portland Meadows.
Picked a good weekend to come up.
I brought it.
Thank you. I also want to welcome two brand new members of our team. I want to make them come up and give a public speech, but I'm not going to. In the very back, they're being very shy, is Victoria. Hi, everyone. And Betty Kay, you're going to be seeing them a lot. They're our new veterinarian assistants, and they are very, very excited to get going, and we're super excited to have them on our team. So welcome. If you haven't had a chance to meet them, I hope you all. I also want to congratulate Karen Parkman for completing her financial auditing boot camp. I know that was a grueling program, and again, a lot of you already knew. You've been living and breathing by some of that stuff, and you've now officially gone through it. I have some legislative updates for you. House Bill 5035 is our budget bill, and that passed Ways and Means. 3023, which was our bill to give us 25% of the general fund, did not pass. It has died. It did not get a work session, and that was a big financial hit for us, and we were not expecting. We thought we would be getting that bill in the governor's office. Everybody told us that they supported it, and it didn't go anywhere. So that's a pretty heavy blow.
And that was one where 25% of our funds did not have to go back to general fund.
Exactly, exactly. So, good news, bad news. Other legislative development pending, we have a bill, Senate Bill 853, which increases licensing fees. You all have seen that we have notices going on that, so we can begin those discussions on what those licensing fees would look like. It's all in the works. Nothing's done yet. We just are starting the process pending this approving. If this is not approved, we will not go forward with it. House Bill 3101 is the industry, I'm calling it the industry relief bill, and that's pending. I don't know if Randy Bodine will be on, but he or Dave may have something to say about that during public session. House Bill 3020 had its work session today. Unfortunately, I have been here in meetings all day, so I haven't even had a chance to listen to it. So I can't tell you exactly where that is yet. Additional bills, Senate Bill 854, civil penalties for illegal wagering. Senate Bill 855, licensing fee increase. Senate Bill 856, limited test bets for audits. And Senate Bill 857, anonymous tip line, will all be heard in the House for a public hearing on Tuesday. I can't tell you for Senate Bill 853, the Ways and Means has told me that there's strong support for that bill. That's one to increase licensing fee. National conferences. I will be attending the ARCI conference as well. Commissioner Fowler. I will be presenting in that conference on information security standards to their model rule committee, as well as a pick and wager that several of us have been working on. The pick and wager and the information security standards may or may not be adopted or put for proposal in Oregon, but they were already conforming to the auditing standards through the audits that our director of mutuals, Micah, does. Summer veterinarian team. This is such a beautiful presentation. I can't believe it. Dr. Lombard, please stand up for a moment. And now sit down.
I know all of you.
Dr. Lombard has been helping a tremendous amount with us trying to get everything together, including training and helping us recruit on veterinarians for the summer for our meets. And we have support. She's going to be the interim through August.
Acting.
Acting interim.
I'm acting.
You're not acting. You're really the interim. And some of you will recognize some of these names. Dr. Palmer will be joining us for at least one weekend. Former commissioner. Dr. Manhart has been at Grants Pass. She said she was absolutely not coming back. Well, she changed her mind and she's coming back for this season, thank goodness. Dr. Lee, I always get that name wrong. He has done our union meet for some time. He's coming back again this year. And Dr. DeBess, anybody remember Dr. DeBess? He was a backside vet in Portland Meadows. He's also chief epidemiologist. I can speak English, I'm sure of it. For the state of Oregon, he's going to be doing 2 fair meets for us. And then we have a surprise candidate that won't let me say his name yet that we think is going to be coming in. So it's.
We all know as well.
Yeah. So it's going to be very exciting because we'll have some real talent, and we've been working very diligently. And I thank Dr. Lombars for helping us put in some strong procedures and processes so we can have smooth transition between one and the other. Even on the weekend she's not there, she's going to continue to check in and be available for things like entry days and going through Encompass and all of these things to keep us afloat. She does have a full-time job on top of this.
Yeah, most days.
But I found that she's usually reachable between 4:30 and 5:30 a.m. on most mornings. We're working on a lot of training and procedure enhancements led by the Oregon racing staff, especially on the veterinarian areas, where you have 2 guinea pigs in the back that we're testing some of these new processes. Key operational initiatives. We're still working on the database rollout. That's complicated. I want to make sure that everybody knows that even though we're getting a new database, which will make licensing easier for most people, we recognize the fact that some people do not like technology or do not understand technology or do not want to deal with technology. And for those individuals, our licensing department will still be there to help you get your application through. So this isn't a either or, it's an in addition to. The head check software is rolling out, and that is a little bit of an endeavor, but we're trying out for the summer that will allow our tracking of concussions for our jockeys. We have the Stewart School set to run in June, and we have stewards who come on, prospective stewards coming from all over North America, including Canada. I know some people in this room really want to make sure that Canada is represented, but it will be represented at our meeting. And on top of those small little things that are going on, we are preparing for the 2025 racing season, which will be upon us very soon. On personal update, I am going to have to go to Bordeaux and see my sister-in-law. I mean, my sister-in-law, my husband's sister, in July. So I will be out for a couple of weeks at the end of July. Fortunately, my chair approved that vacation.
I did approve the vacation. I didn't know you were going to Bordeaux, or I would have said, no, I have to go.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm also going to Barcelona. So
I was just there 2 months ago.
I really want to give my appreciation for the ORC team support and dedication. I'm able to take this vacation because I have such a strong team, and I know that they will keep things running. And that's it. Thank you. And again, you missed a beautiful presentation. I'm so proud of myself.
Okay, commissioners, do you have any questions? Okay, thank you very much. Well, the next thing we have online wagering, the ADW committee report, Commissioner Berry.
Don't forget to speak up.
Okay. I've been accused of mumbling before. I'll do my best. We had a good discussion on a number of issues. The ones that I'll point out, there was a request for us to alter how we report some of our ADW data. We're going to refer that to legal counsel for clarification. Also, in our rulemaking discussion, we were leaning toward, it sounds like, every 5-year relicensing for ADWs without losing any oversight that we have. There's more discussion come on that also, so nothing finalized. And then we had a very nice open discussion, and we had some speaking from our ADW representatives who were here, who gave us useful input during the meeting. I don't have anything else on today's meeting. We had a lot of stuff that we'll be reviewing further in our next meeting. I'll have more updates. Get there.
Okay, commissioners, any questions? Okay, thank you very much. But you're not off the hook yet, because the next thing on the agenda is best practices and strategic planning committee report.
Thank you again. This was a really fun one. Yeah, this is a fun meeting. This is a meeting where we get to think about the future of our commission, as well as how we interact and support the industry and the state of Oregon. Had some really good input from a number of stakeholders, which I appreciated very much. We reviewed our key measures, certainly safety and finance, topped those off. I think the takeaways that I took from the conversation were the commission wants to work to demonstrate the value of the industry, to help demonstrate the value of the industry to the state of Oregon, make sure that people who live in Oregon and others know that we exist and we're running horses, bringing new horse people into the family is a really important one. One neat idea I'll just mention somebody put out there was syndication of horses in Oregon. I thought that was pretty neat. Anything else you like? Oh, bringing youth in. Boy, there were a lot of really good. I encourage people to listen in on this because I think it's a really interesting conversation. In my reports, I'm not going to get the whole thing down, but it's recorded, so you can check it out later if you want to. Really good conversation about how the commission hopefully can continue to support Oregon racing in useful ways, make things better and better for the folks running horses and all the state benefit for horses running in this fine place.
Anything else? Okay, any questions? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so that ends our old business. Next thing we have is new business, and we're going to be discussing and have possible approval of to begin the rulemaking process on a number of issues. And so the first one, and then we'll ask for a motion, is to discuss 462-120-0050, which is license fees.
So I will be discussing all of these. The licensing fees, we are doing a committee meeting. This is just to give everyone a heads up and give public notice. At this point, we are not ready to officially start process. I just want people to know that this is out there. We're going to have an advisory committee meeting on the 22nd. We've chosen advisors. They've been appointed. It's open to the public to listen into, and the packets and charters have been sent out to all interested parties.
Correction, it's on April 24th.
It's on April 24th. April 22nd is when I'm testifying. So it's on April 24th. And the information has been sent out to all stakeholders. The licensing fees in Oregon, just to give a little bit of background, the licensing fees in Oregon are significantly less than other states and significantly less than what it costs us to produce those. So by doing this, we're trying to be as fair and equitable as possible by arranging it by tier level. So for example, an exercise rider is going to pay $50 for a 2-year license instead of $60 for a 3-year license. So it's less money immediately out of their pocket at least. And we may not have all these positions right. We may get the feedback and say, oh, well, that should be in this category instead. But this is our best effort at a first shot to see where we are and what we need to change. And we'll be working through the process all the way up until the rule is finalized. Once the rule is finalized, we still will not be putting it in place until Senate Bill 853 is signed. And at that time, we may wait till after the beginning of after the session is over, the racing season. So it isn't disrupting our racing season. So we don't know when it's going to go into effect, but we know it's not going to go into effect until at least July, probably not until October. We want to do the groundwork now and make sure we get as much feedback as possible from all the stakeholders to make this as equitable as we possibly can without us losing a ton of money.
I appreciate that because I think it's one of these things of, especially when you're raising fees and so on, licensing fee, you want to make sure, one, you get the input, and two, that the legislature's not going to go through and do something different. While you're making. So, I like the idea of holding off a little bit on it. Any questions on licensing fees? Okay, there's no movement on that. We're not making the rules quite yet, but at least all of the information is out there.
Next one is state and nationwide criminal records checks. Currently,
Bye.
our licensing is 3 years. With our new database, it makes more sense to have it be 2 years. That's one of the reasons for the change. And because of the fact that it's 2 years, we've been requiring new fingerprint to be run after 5 years. We thought it would make more sense to change that to 6 years. So it's in line with the 2-year license. So this would just change it to a 6-year requirement for the new background checks.
Okay.
You want to take a motion?
Okay,
Yes, we should.
Does the commission have any questions on this? Seems pretty straightforward.
Just the beginning of the process.
Okay,
You can pick.
I'll make a motion to begin the rulemaking process on 462-120-0055.
okay. Someone makes a motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have Dr. Stein second, and all those in favor, say aye.
Right.
It's unanimous. And you're next with the motion. Okay, next one we've got is,
The next one is 462-220-004067, State of Oregon Share the Parimutuel. And this one is really more language clarification than anything else. It was actually brought up to us some time ago, and frankly, Mike and I thought we already did it. It's so long ago. So this is just very minor changes to the language. It doesn't really have any impact on it. We also added a couple more years to it because it still had 2023 to 2024. We're already past that time. So that's that. We get a motion for that one. I don't think there's going to be any controversy on that.
I'll move that we adopt or start the rulemaking process for 462-220-0040.
okay, Commissioner Fowler makes a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Okay. It's very seconds. Okay, are there any questions? Comments? Okay, motion passes. Oh, wait, did we vote? All those in favor, please raise your hand.
Aye.
It is unanimous. Okay, the motion passes. The next rule is
Approval of license for a hub operation, 462-220-0030. And all this does is eliminate one line, which is on commission provided forms to the ORC at such and such and such and such, which is no longer relevant with our new system. And even if we were going to have them mail it, we wouldn't have them mail it to the Gresham office. We would have them mail it to the Grants Pass location.
okay, and then
the bottom part is, the bottom part of this, we do not want to go forward with at this time.
is the A being the changes being eliminated right now?
So we're still working on that language to solidify it. We haven't decided if we're gonna go with 5 years. We have. We did? Okay. So the bottom one, A, we're gonna change that instead of how it's written here, a license duration will be 4 years. We're gonna change it to 5 years.
Okay,
That came out of the ADW one.
Okay.
So it's exactly the same except for it's 5 years. So currently, just so everybody is clear, the way that our rule is written, you can have a license for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. The new database, for us not to have to pay for extra programming, we just need to pick one number, and 5 seems to be the majority of like start the rulemaking process on that.
Do we have a motion to approve with the one change, to 4 to 5 years, for 462-220-0030?
I move.
Okay. Commissioners, time moves.
I'll second.
And Commissioner Fowler seconds. Any questions? Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand. It is unanimous. It is passed. It's the last one for under the discussion of these rule changes. The other ones, we're now moving to 6, which is discussion and possible approval to adopt the following rules. We've got 2 to talk about.
First one is 462-140-0130-28. And G parentheses, capital A, Paddock and Starting Gate Medical Professionals. This one has had some slight changes through the process. Most notably, cleaning up some languages that was provided by Dr. Longbar. One is to include hair, because that's something we test for on a regular basis. One is to, and until the horses are loaded at the starting gate, we don't want it to just get, we want to stay there until it's loaded. And if the ambulance is being used, the word unit until the ambulance is replaced. So we're adding just a few words on there, that's all in your package. And may not allow horses with riders on the track was added in there, and that's all in your packet. So it's just clarifying words. It was very good language. It's also on our website.
And there was one other, I'm looking at the same one on race meet licenses. It's an EMT or paramedic.
That was
courses.
already in there.
That's already in.
This is the only addition to the,
Okay, got it. Okay.
so, and we can make that one permanent. if all of you agree.
I'll make a motion. 462-140-0130.
Okay. Commissioner makes a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Commissioner Fowler seconds. Any questions? Any comments? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor, raise your hand. It is unanimous.
Yeah, well, I don't think so. I'm gonna talk to legal and see what we want to do and have a discussion here.
Okay.
So the next one is 462-160-0120, use of tubes. Now, this one has already gone through the process, and we're at the point now where we could make it fully adopted. However, so I'm looking at legal. We've got some additional information way past the public comments section. But it was in our meeting, and I think we'd like to discuss it. And what could the process be if we changed it at this late time? Because we don't necessarily want to adopt it now. It's going to be based on what discussion we have next.
You probably would want to, if you got comment after timeframe, and probably, I just my head about, you probably would, want to like extend the public comment period, like renotice the public comment period.
So if we renotice it for 30 days, perhaps.
Yeah, just to give people time to provide the public comment, and then that just changes the,
Would it be easier or harder to simply vote it down and start the process?
And that would be harder.
yeah, that'd be harder.
Okay,
That'd be
no.
hard.
You
That'd be
can't
hard.
go away forever, you just sort of create a new public comment.
Right,
Got
but
it.
let me explain the issue and let's have a discussion and see if everybody agrees that we keep it like it is, or if we extend the public comment. So this rule was placed to allow a length of a tube up to 12 inches. And we have had a very specific case brought to us where someone is too short to use the tube for some medication that she gives the horse. And 18 inches would work for her. I don't know if 15 inches would work, but here's where we are. And I want to make sure you all have a chance to discuss it. And I'm not a doctor, so I'm staying out of this.
May I synopsize the conversation
Yes,
this
please.
morning?
Please.
Horse's neck to its tummy is longer than 12 inches. And as long as the distance we approve is not longer than the distance between the top of the neck and the tummy, we're okay. Is that, as far as not saying that it's supposed to term, use the term for when it goes.
Well, the nasogastric tube, I mean, the controversy, the possession of a nasogastric tube by other than a licensed veterinarian is forbidden. The question then becomes those who administer bute or other medications through a hose tube, something of that sort, but that does not truly constitute a nasogastric tube, should be allowed. The question is, what's the length we're looking at in order to define nasogastric tube from something that's just used for administration of medication that anyone can give? It's, I guess, being a veterinarian, I know what a nasogastric tube is. That's easy to define. But using a tube for administering other medication becomes far more complicated when we're trying to decide an actual length. That's really the discussion.
Okay. Come up with a length, like for a 14 hand short necked, like what's the, shortest neck that would reach that? You know what I'm saying? 18 inches.
Well, certainly 18 inches would, yeah, I mean, you're talking 3 feet is your nasogastric tube.
So we could.
No matter how, talking a 14 hand quarter horse or a 17 hand thoroughbred. Yeah, I mean, there's a slight difference, but when you're talking nasogastric tube, you're talking 3 feet minimum.
So what's 4 inches?
But 18 inches was the original suggestion. And I do know with this one case that we did have, the only case that we did have, that person said 18 inches would work. So with that, I think the shorter we go, the better, but 18 is going to work. Nobody has come to me with anything other than that. That's the only person who's come to me. I think we open it up for another month with the intent of whatever length you guys decide right now. I just know that she said 18 was okay. Go forward. So what would you like to do?
Well, and I would assume, of course, I'm not a veterinarian, I'm a speech and history major, so I know nothing about this, but it's just something that you can say between this. Can you?
No greater than.
No smaller or no greater than, is that
Well, smaller.
appropriate?
Smaller wouldn't mean anything, but
Okay.
greater than.
Okay,
We need something that the investigators can get a measuring stick out to.
Yeah.
And I can't tell them, well, it can't be long enough to go into the stomach because the investigator is not going to know that.
so what we're looking at is the issue is not the length, it can be no longer than X
I
amount of
would
inches.
usually say no longer than 24 inches because it's a long way from 36 inches. Gives people, if there's someone even shorter than this person. It's it.
Is there any reason to go up to 24?
Probably not.
There's no reason to go that high. There's no
If
reason
it's
to go that
the.
No, I mean, what they're doing is just blowing past. So badger. 18, this is probably 18 inches. Size fish cut, right? 18 inches.
It's all you need. That's all you need.
Okay, so as a professional, do you feel comfortable with 18 versus 12?
Yeah.
Okay.
Considering that new information that we received on it.
If it's not enough, maybe we have some public thoughts or stuff like this.
So the issue they have here is on the language that we have in front of us is that there's literally one change, and that is tubes no longer than 18 inches versus 12 inches will be allowed in the possession of anyone. Of our ski license.
And we vote that we make that change and we keep the public comment open for another.
I think, I mean, I'd have to check rules, but I think the minimum is 14 days. So you might today just, perhaps the vote today is to
Extend it for 14 days.
Yeah, extend the public comment period and not actually vote on the language and then come back with your final language.
Okay, so we'll come back with our final language.
After you, yes, today you're just deciding to extend the public comment period to get more comment, any final comment, and then you come back once that's over to your next.
And then in May, we can make it fun.
Yeah, so I think the minimum is 14 days, but
You're lucky.
I'll look at, or yeah, okay, I'll look.
And so what I'm looking at is we keep it open, we just
We're
not
extending
vote on this, we're extending the comment periods, people get
We're going
input,
to extend.
and we'll deal with it in the next.
We need a vote to extend
I think it's probably good to do that on record.
I will make a motion to extend the public comment period for an additional 14 days. Yes. On 462-160-0120.
Okay, Commissioner Berry, moves that we extend the public comment for another 14 days on 462-160-012004. Is there a second?
Also,
Okay, Commissioner Stein seconds. Any comments, questions? Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand. It is unanimous, and so there'll be a public comment on whether we have a 12-inch or an 18-inch tube to go down, I would assume down their nose. I don't, well,
that's
yes,
the,
thank you. Thank you.
Demonstration.
I guess we could do it then, but not be as clear. Oh, we can.
Okay. Okay, so that's finishes the discussion on different rule changes. The next thing we've got is 2025 WVC Annual Conference. Commissioner Stein.
yes, I attended the Western Veterinary Conference this first week in March this year. There was a section sponsored by the North American Association of Racetrack Veterinarians. Covered a lot of different topics, many of which I'm sure all the trainers and owners here are familiar with, such as ulcers, airway disease. Most of this is, there's still a lot of research going out. Some of the things about bleeding in horses had to do with airway obstruction as being a major cause of bleeding, although there's still a lot of research out there, none of it really conclusive. A lot of new techniques, what are called regenerative therapies for joint injections. I'm sure most of you have heard about, like platelet-rich plasma, PRP, or stem cells, and there are various forms of that. Which led to a lot of discussions about the HISA rules. Fortunately, Oregon's not a HISA state, but those of you who race in HISA states.
And that means ISIS state is.
Horse Racing Integrity and Safety
Thank
Act.
you.
Most of the comments regarding HISA were negative. A lot of it had to do really with due process. The trainers have really not felt that they were not granted penalties that basically put trainers out of business. And as far as veterinarians, there was a lot of talk about the extra work that veterinarians have to do, such as these examinations before workouts,
Well-
examinations before race.
Hey, baby, how are you?
And, which adds on to
Let
the
me
cost
turn down my computer.
of trainers. But probably the most important thing that occurred, the topic was on the lack of equine veterinarians and how we got to this place where it's next to impossible to find equine vets that aren't old, like some of us.
Experienced.
Yeah, well, experience, that's true. But why the vet schools are not graduating as many equine vets as they used to. And it was very interesting, and they did a survey, the AAR, no, not A, sorry. What? Yes, the AAEP, American Association of Equine Practitioners, not retired. Equine practitioners, and they actually did a survey, and a lot of this had to do with starting salaries, average salaries, and all kinds of things. And they found out that some of the data that it used to be published by the American Veterinary Medical Association was actually erroneous, and that they included interns in their average salaries. And so the thought was that a lot of people aren't going into equine medicine because it just doesn't pay as much as small animal medicine. And their study indicates it's actually not true. Further, they found that equine medicine was actually discouraged in the veterinary schools, which sounds kind of crazy, but things like mentorships were not to be found, that kind of the old stodgy vet just didn't want to bother with, helping the younger people along. And that's a real problem we have, not just for racetracks, but all over the country. I mean, it's a well-known problem. And I figured there was a OSU alumni dinner there, and I said, well, what better place to recruit equine vets that have Oregon licenses to work? So I go to this alumni dinner. It's crowded, a lot of people there having a good time. I found one not even a full equine, he was a mixed practice practitioner. He lived actually in Burns, and that was the only licensed as an Oregon practitioner that would work on equines. He wasn't interested in doing it because he had the small animal practice. I couldn't believe that I couldn't find, and they weren't even the other vets there weren't even licensed in Oregon. They had graduated from OSU, and yet they went to all these different states, and they weren't even equine practitioners anyway, so it doesn't even affect us. So, I mean, that's a problem. I spoke with, and unfortunately, I forgot the name of a faculty member there from OSU, and talked about an internship program. Can they not do an internship program? Get some of these people in the vet school to come out and learn about it. He was open to the idea. I just don't know, how far that goes, but I think we do need to pursue that. But I found, in fact, on my flight home, there was a young vet from, actually she's in Vancouver now, but I mentioned all these things to her. What was it like in vet school and how they presented the equine program, et cetera. And everything she said matched exactly with what the AAEP survey showed, that it's discouraged. They feel that they're, especially for women vets, it was very discouraging for them. And one other thing that I found interesting, of the vets that did go into equine practice, 50% dropped out of equine practice after 5 years. So even some of these schools are producing equine vets. They're just not sticking around. So that's the depressing news I have at that conference.
Thank you. No, that's interesting, because I know that,
Yeah.
Coming from a family that were dairy farmers, it was the same sort of thing, getting a vet out for a cow. It was one of these things that, one, they couldn't afford it. And so if they were, calving or whatever, they would just, do as much as they could. without having a veterinarian in there. And I don't know if that's the same situation, kind of a supply and demand issue when it comes to veterinary medicine.
Well, and
Plans.
I mean, just, it doesn't really, everywhere in the country, there's a shortage of equine vets and, you know, if your horse is colicky and you don't have a university nearby where you can just truck them there, you could be in serious trouble. And so people who live near a veterinary school with a, you know, with their hospitals, they're in much better shape than people that are in rural areas where there's no hospital within 2, 3, 4 hours. It's a real problem.
Questions? Okay, thank you for the, I would say, thank you for the report. But anyway, we appreciate that because it's something that is important, especially with the idea of safety and so on that we're looking at for not only the jockeys, but especially for the equines. Okay, great. Okay, the next thing we have on the agenda is public comment. And what we'll have is people come up here. We'll just be taking general. Or, yeah. And it is, we will set a time if it's going too long. But we'll come up here and make sure that you identify yourself. And again, like us, try to speak as loudly as you can for that, because a lot of times in hearings or public comment, we have people sign in, but we won't do that. So we'll have public comment. We have 15, 20 minutes plus for public comment. So anybody,
Start with the people in the room.
yes, I don't know if we have, I don't know if we have people online. We have no one online. Okay, so far. Okay, so raise your hand, like, up, and make sure you identify yourself for the record.
Yes, I'm Leah Nelson. I'm executive,
And be loud. Yes.
excuse me. I'm Leah Nelson, and I am Executive Secretary of the Oregon Quarter Horse Racing Association. And I have given each of you a letter that our association presented to the commission back in 2024. And it has to do with our expenditures that we had to put out in the amount of $27,200 to cover the extra races that we ran when the thoroughbreds weren't able to fill their races. We were happy to do that because it meant that we kept the programs at each one of the racetracks with full fields and full programs. So, but I just wanted to bring it back to your attention that we would like to get reimbursed for this money at some point. And so I wanted to just bring it back to your attention that it's still here and we haven't gotten a reimbursement. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, great. I appreciate all the detail and so on that you have. Any questions?
I guess my question is why haven't we reimbursed them?
That's a good question. You weren't here at the time. You said that.
I don't know if any of us were.
It was a while ago. It was a while ago. And at the time that we had this come in, we said we would wait until June if we had extra money. And we're getting close to that time. As I mentioned, we have way less money than we thought we were going to because of the additional costs of SORA this year that took pretty much what we were planning on giving out away. But fortunately, we did tuck away some extra money for the racetrack. Once we know how much it's going to cost to fix the racetrack, if the racetrack needs anything, then we'll know what's left and we can bring that to the meeting next month. And this could be something that we take some of that money towards. It's going to be your consideration on what you want to do. If there's any extra money, where you want to put it. I do recommend if we have any extra money, despite whatever next time does, we go ahead and distribute it from this year, because if we have too much left, they could sweep it.
Yeah.
And we have the authority to spend it currently. So that would be my recommendation.
Okay, I like that. And not only that, if same sort of thing, if you kind of carry it over, they do what they call sweeping, and when they need money, which they're looking at the economy where they may have to go through and sweep agency budgets. And it's like, well, you've got $4 million extra, so we're taking 3.5 million. And so I think on something like this to wait till that, but this is on the list.
Okay.
Reimbursement list.
And once we know, we'll let everyone know. And if we have any, and that may be a discussion point now, are there things that you specifically would prefer any future money to go to? That's left over.
And we're talking money that's this is current
It's
money.
gonna have to be done for use for this plan.
Right, it's got to be used for July, until it ends of July. Biennium.
Again, there may not be any. It depends on what we find out about the tracking.
And we'll find out soon. We'll find it in a month. Any questions or any input?
Just like, if we can do this, I would sure like to do
Yeah.
this.
Because it goes back to the track. And
The
races,
situation will be what it is.
Yeah. and it's going towards races, and that's one thing that we're looking at. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Yes, anybody else, if you come up here with a microphone and make sure you identify yourself for the record.
Director Wynn, Commissioners, I'm Connie Erickson, President of the Oregon Thoroughbred Owners and Breeders Association. Today, I have a letter from our board to read into the record, and then I have some questions and some comments to follow. We'll see how well my... Okay, so this is to the Oregon Racing Commission. Dear Commissioners, we strongly object to the inadequate funding approved by the Oregon Racing Commission with regard to the hub request submitted by the Oregon Thoroughbred Owners and Breeders Association. This unprecedented action will devastate thoroughbred breeding in Oregon. The Otoba is the longest standing horse association in Oregon. The ORC has worked in partnership with breeders for 81 years. The decision to abandon the breeding programs and incentives that have sustained the industry is illogical. Without horses, there is no horse racing. Oregon breeders and owners rely on the incentives provided by Otoba to help cover the costs of breeding. It takes 3 to 4 years before a foal reaches the racetrack. The costs incurred total over $15,000. Purses offered in Oregon do not make up for this cost. The loss of 90% of race days and no mention of increasing days is detrimental to breeding. The Otoba incentives are critical. Oregon horses, Oregon breeders, and Oregon owners should be the priority of the Oregon Racing Commission. Sincerely, our board of directors, myself, Connie Erickson, Dr. Jack Root, Gay Welliver, Michael Morris, Dr. Ryland Harwood, Donna Yannick, Lindsay Gates, Sally Cole, Kathy Hopper, Denise Manning, Gerhard Mathis, Tessa Plegman, Laura Lynn Walker, and Linnell Fox Smith, our director. Now, for my questions. I'd like to confirm our understanding that the commission intended to defund Otoba by $152,000, which would have funded owners' purse enhancements and breeding programs.
I think I can make a comment. I should have brought this up at the beginning. Is public comment is public comment. It's not necessarily questioning, and that kind of thing. And so what it is we listen to the public comment. We take the public comment. I think we've got your letter on record.
Okay.
A copy of it.
Okay,
And then what we do is we take it into consideration. But public comment is not a question.
okay, thank you for the clarification.
I should-
I appreciate that. During the March meeting, when the HUD funds were allocated, one of the commissioners, and I don't remember who, mentioned that breeding in Oregon was not going anywhere because of the low foal numbers. As you know, foal numbers throughout the country have been declining for years. Foals born in 2024 and registered in Oregon totaled 38. That was up from 24 in 2023, a significant increase for a small jurisdiction. And this is due to the full incentives that we've been offering. We personally at our farm bred 19 mares last year. All but 4 of those foals expected will be Oregon breds. I don't know how many other Oregon breds there are, but that's probably going to increase the foal numbers again. So what we've been doing has been working. Yes, it's slow. If we had known in advance, we had been told that the commission would only fund purses or safety, we would have reorganized our programs to utilize those funds in the way that you want them utilized. But if we don't know how you want them, what can we do? We've been doing these programs for decades, and the ORC has been funding them. And I'd also like to point out, and I think it's been pointed out before, but I'm not sure that it actually got home. When we were able in, I think, 2019 or 2020 to get some funding from the legislature on our own recognizance, we got $500,000. We spent nearly all of that money on safety. We gave money to the fairs, we gave money to the commercial meat, we gave money to the ORC. So I really feel that we've been abandoned by the ORC, and I hope that going forward, you will reconsider. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Raise your hand if you have a comment, please. That's not.
If not, that ends a public comment. Okay. Oh,
Randy's got one.
Randy Bodine.
oh, Randy, thank you.
Yep, no, just in response to something Connie said early on. What,
Identify
oh, I'm
yourself.
sorry,
Identify
for the
yourself,
record,
correct.
for the record, I'm Randy Bodine, Executive Director of the Oregon HBPA. And just to what Connie alluded to early in the session, what she calls the industry bill, which is money that would go back into the fairs, we passed out of committee and were passed into Ways and Means, and that passing over came with a recommendation to pass in once it got to Ways and Means. So now we're just waiting the process out for the economic forecast, and hopefully we'll, receive a favorable outcome at Ways and Means. But thus far, it's fine. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you for the update. Okay, any other comments online of people that are online? Randy's the only hand I see up.
I would like to comment. I'm on the phone. But
Who
it's
is
been
speaking, please?
Please identify yourself.
My name is Star Wolf, and I'm calling on the phone. It's difficult to hear what you guys are saying, but is this appropriate time for me to speak?
Where is she from?
Where are you from? I'm sorry.
Oregon,
What city? We need the city.
Eugene.
Eugene.
Okay, thank you.
May I
Go ahead.
comment now?
Yes.
I'm calling to voice my support for the $200,000 funding for TOBA. I believe OTOBA really needs this funding for owner incentives. I am a thoroughbred owner, and I think that for OTOBA to have that funding, it will help keep thoroughbreds involved in live meets in Oregon. Otherwise, we would just go to Washington or California where there's more incentives and higher purses. And also keeping thoroughbreds involved in racing in Oregon, I strongly believe adds to the continued quality of racing here. That's all I have to say, and thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments. Okay, any other comments online? Seeing none, that ends the public comment. Any more after? Ends the public comment portion. We are going to actually go in, we have no, so we have no contested cases. What we're going to be doing is going into executive session.
We'll turn off the.
Yes.
Back.
And so the computer will be off. Are we gonna?
They're gonna leave.
Oh, you guys will leave the room and then we'll come back. I don't believe are we making any decisions.
No, it's just the information for you guys, and there isn't anything else in what we do. We'll adjourn the meeting at the end of the public.
Yes, but we're going to come back probably after the executive session to close the meeting, okay? And so pursuant to ORS 192.00, excuse me, 192.660 to F, we are going into executive session. And so people will be offline, guys will be around in 20 minutes, 10, 20 minutes. I don't know.
It's 10 minutes.
Yeah, like in 10 minutes, and then we'll come out and come back in